Alright, today we make our return to YouTube with my NFL top 10 teams at the midway point of the season. I'm Nathan Gustafson, and this is Clutch Time. So I'll start it off by just telling you who the three genuinely impressive teams are in the NFL that didn't crack my top 10, being the Panthers, Colts, and Cowboys. The Colts' offensive line is outstanding. Their front seven defensively is pretty good, but there are some issues in their secondary, particularly at corner. With T.Y. going down with an injury, that's huge for their offense. He is vital to their team. And then Jacoby Brissett having the lingering knee injury, all those things sort of kept the Colts out of the top 10 for me. For the Cowboys, it's pretty simple. Dak is limited as a quarterback. Zeke seems to have actually lost a step, not to say that he's not still a top 6 to 7 back in the NFL. He is not what he once was when he led the league in rushing, though, and sort of the same thing as the Colts. I see too many question marks in their secondary. And then for the Carolina Panthers, I don't trust Kyle Allen a whole lot going forward. Their offensive line has a couple holes in it. Christian McCaffrey is an outstanding football player. They have a lot of speed on offense. That's what I love. I also really like their front seven, the pass rush they're able to get with Brian Burns, Mario Addison, Dontari Poe, K'Wan Short, although there's another injury for the Panthers. Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson are both very good blitzing linebackers. They are an outstanding football team at the line of scrimmage, particularly in their front seven, and then at running back, but sort of all the same thing plaguing all three of these teams is the secondary play, and I have the same issue with Carolina, Dallas, and Indy, and it sort of holds all of them back. But moving into the top 10, I'll start out at number 10 with the Rams. I think that Jared Goff has gotten a little bit exposed this year. They could be a lot higher on this list. He has shown that he's limited, sort of similar to Dak, with a little more accuracy and a little less athleticism, sort of similar to Matt Ryan. There's limitations to their game. I don't love Goff. We've seen some sort of injury problems with the rest of the Rams' offense, Todd Gurley being on limited snaps, although getting Cooper Kupp back has obviously helped their offense a ton from where they were at the end of last season. And then defensively, obviously the acquisition of Jalen Ramsey is a big deal. That is probably what's keeping them in the top 10. From my perspective, I think that Aaron Donald is still 100% elite. Sack numbers are a little bit down. That's obviously due to the amount of attention that he gets. And really the Rams, I think, going forward, top 10, yes. Any higher than that, no. All right, coming in at number 9, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson is a magician. With the football, we've heard that a lot, and with good reason. He would get my MVP vote if the season ended today. He has been absolutely outstanding, but make no mistake, a lot of that has been against very piss-poor football teams, and their schedule is going to get a lot tougher going forward. They draw San Francisco twice. They get the Rams again, this time on the road. They have to go to Philadelphia, and although Philly has sucked it up at a few different points during the year, I still think there's some potential there. They have to play Minnesota. Their schedule is going to get much, much, much tougher than it's been. But with that being said, hard to knock on anything Russell Wilson's done this year. Their running game is still outstanding. DK Metcalf has proven to be much better than a third-round pick, which is where he went this year. Defensively, there's still some struggles there. This is the worst secondary that Seattle has had since Russell Wilson came into the league. But with that being said, with Bobby Wagner still on that defense, still in the middle, acquiring Jadeveon Clowney, they're still able to create plays defensively. So although there is certainly holes in their defense, I don't think that they're in the bottom half of the league. And for that reason, I still give the Seahawks number 9. All right, coming in at number 8, I have the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson would get my second place MVP vote if the season ended today. He has also been spectacular. You've noticed with their offense this year, it's sort of a little bit more explosive the more that Watson uses all his weapons. Now, it's not to say that DeAndre Hopkins isn't an elite receiver, but we saw this with increased production from Matthew Stafford when Calvin Johnson retired, sort of the effectiveness to spreading the ball around and not force-feeding receivers. Now, Hopkins is still putting up outstanding numbers, but I think that's really opened their offense up, properly utilizing their entire offense. Carlos Hyde has been a solid addition for them. Duke Johnson, another running back, they get production from their backs. Their offensive line has obviously increased its capabilities with the acquisition of Laramie Tunsil. Defensively, obviously, losing J.J. Watt is a massive hit. I don't like their secondary at all. With that being said, Whitney Merciless is still going to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. Zach Cunningham and Benjardrick McKinney are a very good middle linebacker duo in that 3-4 defense that they run. And because of how much I believe Watson elevates them and how good their offense can be, I give the Texans the 8th spot on this list. All right, I got to eat my words on this one because I think that as of today, the Baltimore Ravens are the seventh best team in the NFL coming into the year. Had Big Ben not gotten hurt, I had the Steelers winning this division, and when he did get hurt, I said the Browns would win this division. Lamar Jackson continues to prove me wrong. I did not think that he would be this good as a player. I do not take back calling him a running back playing the quarterback position because to some extent it's true, but that's part of what makes him so talented as a football player. What I did not expect was for him to be accurate, throwing pretty basic routes, basic ins and outs, 10-yard digs and little quick outs are a huge part of what they run, but Lamar's been able to throw them accurately. And what I mean by saying he's still a running back, he has the capabilities of virtually every running back in the NFL. It's like having a whole nother athlete in the backfield. This Baltimore rushing offense is for real. Lamar Jackson is top 10 in the league in rushing yards, the most ever by a quarterback through the first half of the season. He is a remarkable football player. This offense is something that most teams have not seen. Now, the second time around, I think it's a little bit easier to defend. I still think there's limitations to Lamar's game. He's considerably better than I thought he could be, and 100 times more valuable and effective than I thought he would be. But with that being said, there are still limitations to what the Ravens are able to do. For instance, now that Bill Belichick has seen this firsthand, he knows what to expect with Lamar next time. I don't see them beating the Patriots, and I don't see them putting up enough points to beat the Chiefs in a playoff game. So I don't think the Ravens can win the Super Bowl. But with that being said, John Harbaugh is a great coach, and this is one of the most complete teams in football. I give the Ravens the seventh best team in the league. All right, coming in at number 6 is the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is a top 3 roster in football. The defensive talent that they have at virtually every level. Eric Kendricks is a top-tier middle linebacker. Danielle Hunter has sort of made a case to be a top 3 pass rusher in the NFL this year. Harrison Smith is still an outstanding safety, and Xavier Rhodes is a top 5 corner in football. There's really not much more you can ask for from this Minnesota defense, and Kirk Cousins, if it's at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Sunday, there's not that many quarterbacks I would rather have. Obviously, it's still sort of the primetime game factor, can't win a big game, can't beat a good team. But with that being said, they're pretty impressive in the way that they handle bad teams and the way they play with a solid degree of consistency. I really like this roster moving forward. It would be easier for me to put them higher on this list if I had any faith at all in Kirk Cousins' ability to actually win playoff games or win games against good teams. That is the one thing holding them back. But like I said, as far as just strictly the roster goes, this is a top 2 to 3 roster in the NFL. All right, coming in at number 5, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, a lot of people are wanting to jump off their bandwagon after consecutive home losses to the Colts and Texans. I think the Colts gave sort of a blueprint to beat the Chiefs when they showed how you can run the football on them, keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands because this offense is absolutely unstoppable. But if you never let them get the football, at least you're going to have a decent chance to win the game. That's what the Colts did. The Texans did something similar, ran it right down their throats. Now, what I do think is that adjustments will be made for the Chiefs defensively. There's going to be more of an emphasis on that. They may actually give up more big plays over the top, but at the end of the day, they'll get the ball back in Mahomes' hands, right? Against Denver, they bounced back from those games, played just spectacular against Joe Flacco. I still believe in the Chiefs' pass rush going forward now. That's a huge thing because, in order to win in modern football, the best way to do it is to put up a lot of points and just put pressure on the other team's quarterback, right? That is a common denominator in all of the last teams to win Super Bowls. Even the Patriots teams that didn't get a ton of sacks were constantly in the quarterback's face. I like the Chiefs' pass rush with Frank Clark and Chris Jones. I love what their offense is capable of doing when Patrick Mahomes is healthy, and I think the sky's the limit for this team. Now, they kick off the top 5 teams, or the 5 teams. I think one of them will win the Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs are perfectly capable of it because of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, because of how excellent this offense is, and because Andy Reid is a spectacular football coach. Now, I know he gets a lot of heat for lack of playoff success, right? But he made a Super Bowl before with the Eagles, obviously lost it to the Patriots. And then just last year, if D4 doesn't line up off sides, he's making it to a second Super Bowl and likely winning it against a Rams team that clearly wasn't built to be there. They looked just scared out of their wits against the Patriots. I think the Chiefs would have won that game. And it all boils down to D4 lining up off sides. Give Patrick Mahomes a chance to run it back, and you'll see what this Chiefs team is capable of. All right, coming in at 4, I have the Saints. Now, they've looked excellent. This is more of a gut feel thing. I think that they're one of the more talented offenses in the league. If there's one thing that I would change is that I think they're a little bit too reliant on 2 key playmakers, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. I wish that there was more of a plenty of weapons on their offense. With that being said, I think Drew Brees is going to consistently make the most of it, and I have no doubts in what the Saints team is capable of going forward. The only thing really keeping them at 4 instead of 1, 2, or 3 is I do think there's 3 teams in the league that are simply better than them. The Saints' defense is good, but I do think that there's some holes at safety. They do give up some big plays, and I think that their pass rush is a little bit too reliant on Cam Jordan to make plays happen. I think if you give running back or tight end help on Cam Jordan, they have a little bit of trouble getting after the passer. Those 2 things, sort of, I'm being nitpicky here because for the most part they've just played excellent football all year. And like I said, just a couple little things that I wish could be changed, including maybe Drew Brees being 4 to 5 years younger. I think he's still excellent, but do I think that he's on the level of a Rodgers or a Mahomes if it came down to it and he had to put up those points in a playoff game? Especially if it came on the road. This is key for the Saints and playoff success. They're in a battle with the Niners and Packers to get a bye and to have home field advantage. They need to claim that. Because Drew Brees on the road in the playoffs historically is not the same quarterback. You do not want him going to Lambeau, right? And he's best at home. So, I mean, I think he could still certainly go into San Francisco and put up points. You definitely do not want to be going into Lambeau. So even if you can't catch the Niners, it's very important for this team to catch the Packers and get home field from them. That will be vital for them going forward. All right, coming in at 3, I have the Green Bay Packers. I like them better than the Saints for a couple of reasons. I think their pass rush is better with Preston and Zadarius Smith. I called that one at the beginning of the year. We haven't even really seen much of Rashawn Gary. In the NFL, rookies get better as the year goes on. They start to have more of an impact. Look out for that because I believe that this Green Bay team can send pass rushes at you in waves. I think it's excellent. We've seen a big leap from Jerry Alexander from year 1 to year 2, and he was already talented before. He has been outstanding. And then Blake Martinez in the middle of their defense is a tackling machine. This is the best defense that Aaron Rodgers has had since he went to a Super Bowl. He also has shown that he can make the most of the weapons that he has now with Matt LaFleur as opposed to Mike McCarthy as the coach, making the most of it while Devontae Adams was out, using guys like Lazard and Geronimo Allison and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and making it work offensively was very impressive. Now he gets Adams back, and both of those running backs, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, are very talented. They're very good pass catchers, which is huge for the Green Bay offense. I think they're just a little bit better than the Saints, and that is why I have them at 3. All right, coming in at number 2, I have the New England Patriots. I'm not going to crap my pants over them losing one Sunday Night Football game to the Ravens. I think their defense came out flat. I think Tom had a bad night. They weren't really able to get much going on the ground, and they really just got beat. You could tell their defense wasn't ready for Lamar Jackson's skill set and what he brings to the table. And, that you could see how that affected the Pats. I think next time, if they were to run it back with the Ravens, or against any other team for that matter, they're going to come out with a much better game plan. That's why the Patriots don't lose games in January. Remember last year they lost regular season games to Miami and Detroit and teams that were well below them. I don't think it's a big deal for them to lose against the Ravens, particularly on the road, because I still think the Pats are going to maintain home field advantage, which will be key for them going forward. They're still an elite defense. I don't think that their defense warranted the comparisons to the 85 Bears and the 2000 Ravens, or even the 2013 Seahawks for that matter. The level of attention that they're getting. I do think they're very good, and they have the best coach in the history of football, which, yes, helps a crap ton. Expect big things from the Pats going forward. I would not harp too much on one game. Look at the body of work. This is absolutely a top 2 team in football. Now, while I give the Pats number 2, the number 1 team in the NFL is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, what's crazy to me is this. I don't even have them at number 1 because of their undefeated record. They just happen to be undefeated. What's even crazier to me is I don't even think they've come close to hitting their potential yet. I still think that Jimmy Garoppolo has room to go, and I've seen him get better with virtually every game as the season's gone on. He started off rusty in that game against Tampa Bay. They won it because they got a couple pick sixes. I mean, he looked horrible in that game against Pittsburgh at home, but they still come away with a win. Now he's becoming more and more comfortable in the offense. This is a top 3 rushing attack in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan is a wizard the way that he draws up plays. Even basic runs up the middle just look exciting for them. They utilize Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida together just beautifully, mixing in, obviously, with their speed receivers too, Dante Pettis and Deebo Samuel. Kyle Shanahan utilizes everyone in his offense to their fullest potential. I believe he is the second best coach in the NFL behind Bill Belichick and the single best offensive mind in the NFL. And then to top it all off, the Niners defensively do not have any weak spots. Fred Warner is outstanding. I think losing Quan Alexander is certainly going to hurt them. But going forward, they'll be just fine. The amount of pressure they're able to put on the quarterback without blitzing is just insane because Nick Bosa is outstanding. Dee Ford is an awesome football player. DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, and Eric Armstead, they're 5 deep on putting pressure on you. They only have to bring 3 or 4 to get home, and just you see it in how good their third down defense is, how good they are situationally, and the amount of pressure that the 49ers put on opposing quarterbacks is far and away the best in the NFL. And the best part about it is they don't have to blitz to do it. And then at corner, obviously, we know about Richard Sherman, but the sort of no-name guys that they have filling in on the other side have all performed remarkably well. I watch the 49ers defense and I see no weak spots. I watch the 49ers offense and I see no weak spots. And they've been playing without 2 tackles and a quarterback nowhere near reaching his full potential. Going forward, the Niners have to be Super Bowl favorites in my mind because of what I think they can be. They've been an undefeated football team without coming anywhere near reaching their potential as a roster or playing a complete game of football. They've had turnovers in games. They've just come out sloppy in games. I think their one complete game of football was when they smacked it on Carolina, and I think that's the best picture of what they really are like at their full potential. All right, that's going to be it for us today. So tomorrow, I'm giving you a video every day this week. Tomorrow is going to be my college football top 10. Now, I recorded this video last week before the Florida-Georgia game. But ultimately, I think that the rankings, if you look at the way I had them set up, are going to be virtually the exact same, factoring in Georgia's win, which I actually called in that video. And then the day after that, which will be Thursday, I will give you my NFL predictions for the rest of the season. And then Friday will be my college football predictions for the rest of the season. And then Saturday, I'm going to give you my picks for the week in the NFL. We're trying to get back on schedule. I'm sorry we went so long without a video. I had some technical difficulties on my end that have been taken care of, and we're going to get you a video 5 days in a row and then get back into our regular schedule with our 10 takeaways each week, which will start up again next week on Tuesday. Thanks for watching.